I said that God had a unique plan for this brother in the faith, Patrick, and he has a unique plan for you. You don't necessarily need a passport or a plane ticket in order to be obedient to God's great commission to you. You might not need to go across the world or the ends of the earth in order to be obedient to Jesus. Sometimes it's just going, across the table, speaking to friends and family across the dinner table, or across the cubicle, or across the canteen. Last Sunday, Alex did a great job talking about ways to be faithful to God in the workplace. It could be going across the street to somebody else in your state, or across student housing. There just is this great need for the gospel to go deeper and fuller into this generation of Corkonians, or people who live in Cork, regardless of where they're from. And also, as I mentioned that, what a reminder, too, that people from the ends of the earth are here. And so maybe more than any other time, you don't need a passport or a plane ticket, because other people have passports and plane tickets, and they're showing up on your doorstep. So I'm calling you to go outside of yourself this week. I'm not saying that we can't enjoy the whatever festivities of Tuesday. Go to the parade. I'll see you in Carrickline. I'll be there, rooting on the tractors and that kind of thing. Gets me going. So I'm calling you to go outside of yourself, though. And the biblical God is by nature a sending and a missionary God. Over and over again, the Bible reminds us and teaches us that God, the Father, sends God the Son into the world. In a sense, going outside of himself and his comfort. And then Jesus tells the disciples in John 14 that Jesus is going to send the Holy Spirit to them. And so we have this sending and going of the Son from the Father, and the Spirit from the Son and the Father. And then the Holy Spirit also is the one that sends the church into the world. So the Father sends the Son. The Father and the Son send the Spirit. The Spirit sends the church. And so as you have opportunities in the past, today, tomorrow, Tuesday, every other day, we're going to have opportunities to go outside of ourselves. And we're doing what God does. And so I want to encourage you to give it a shot this week. I think my favorite quote from all of his writings is this one. Actually, no. It's the next one. Sorry. He says, he's amazed at his own fruitfulness. And he says, "How then does it happen that in Ireland, a people who, in their ignorance of God, have always worshipped idols and unclean things in the past, have now become the people of the Lord and are called children of God?" So Patrick is amazed. He's like, I can't believe this works. I can't believe that people are just getting saved and loving Jesus. But then, more than anything, he's amazed that God would save him and would use him at all. Remember earlier on I said that God is determined to use surprising choices to act in meaningful ways for the advance of his kingdom. So he chose Patrick, and I'd say the one that was surprised most of all was Patrick himself. This is my favorite quote. He says, "I am first and foremost unlearned, an unlettered exile, who can't even plan for the future. But this much I know for sure. I was like a stone lying in deep mud. And then he who is mighty came, and in his mercy, he not only pulled me out, but he lifted me up and placed me at the very top of the wall. I must therefore speak publicly in order to thank the Lord for such wonderful gifts. Gifts for the present and for eternity, which the human mind cannot measure." He's like, I'm just so glad that I'm saved at all. And that sort of gospel amazement, it overtakes me sometimes. And I also know that it overtakes even the Apostle John. In 1 John chapter 3, he says this, "Behold what manner of love the Father has given unto us, that we should be called the sons of God. But that is what we are," he says. And just from time to time, I have that kind of just amazement. Like, can you believe it? I'm a Christian. Like, I'm a Christian. And maybe even how King David in chapter 7, when he wants to build God a temple and God makes him this wonderful counteroffer where David just sits down and remember what he says? He says, who am I? And what is my house that you brought me this far? And so Patrick and John and me and hopefully you have these moments of just, wow. That you would love me at all, that you would use me one bit. It's just too much. We're like stones lying in the mud. God picks us up, cleans us off, and then uses us. Isn't that wonderful?